Welcome to 365 Brothers, the podcast. I'm your host, Robin Shine. I am delighted to bring to you brothers from across the United States and from various professions talking about their life experiences, their wisdom, and a conversation that also touches on racial profiling in the United States, how pervasive it is, what the impact is. And remember, you can follow us on Instagram at 365 Brothers. Also, follow us on Facebook at 365 Brothers, the podcast. If this is your first time listening to a 365 Brothers episode, make sure you subscribe because you do not want to miss one brother's wisdom, one brother's experience, and their perspective on life in the United States. Today, we're speaking with a gentleman whose hometown is Oakland, who currently resides in San Diego. He's got 40 years in the styling industry. He is, in fact, a master hairstylist. Also, he plays drums, smooth jazz, Latin. We are speaking with William Venters, who you will probably know as Curtis V. And by the way, this brother is inspirational. He contributed to a book with Kim Coles called Open Your Gifts. Welcome, Curtis.
Thank you. I am so humbled and privileged to be a part of this.
This is a privilege for me. Before we jump into the questions, is there anything that you'd like to share with our listeners so that they can get to know you better?
You'll probably figure out from some of my answers that I am a little bit on the sentimental, sensitive side, not to take away from, all man. I'm that protector. I have 3 sisters, so I'm a very protective person when it comes to my queens. I love family. Family means everything to me. And I have a few things that I do. I play music and I've written. I'm an author, I'm a poet and a hairstylist and a teacher, instructor, amongst other things. So.
Wow. You are what we would call a quintessential creative.
Yes.
Well, let's dive in. What's your favorite song or movie, either now or all time?
Okay, let's go with a couple of things. One, A House Is Not a Home by Luther Vandross. I love that song. I love that song because it speaks to me and it reaffirms the fact that it's not the building, the structure, that's the home. It's merely a house. If you don't have somebody to enjoy it with, you don't have a loved one to share it with, then it's not a home. It's not a home until you put that warmth of love in it. And so that's the song. Movie.
Well, I have to jump in and say I have probably listened to that song without a doubt 500 times, and I've got to be approaching 1,000. That song is classic. I love it, and everything you just said about it, it conveys it so beautifully. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, please. I love to know when we connect on that same level. That really speaks to me. A movie that stands out for me right now is Black Panther.
Oh,
and the reason that movie stands out, I mean, I like the storyline and so forth, but I think the movement is what stands out more so for me. For us to have a full cast of predominantly African American, African Black faces on a screen where not just Black people went to see, nor was it tomfoolery, servant roles, where we had the whole nation engrossed in this Black Panther movement. It was just amazing to me. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved it. I loved that the cohesiveness that it gave us as Black people, for us to finally go to the movies and our chests are sticking out because look what we can do also. The cinematography, the acting, it was all great. And so that's a movie that stands out. There are some that are a little deeper, but that one was a good movie as far as a movement.
Yes, agreed. When you said our chest sticks out, I was like, our chest sticks out, our arms are crossed like an X, and we say Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. Now
I
that's
love that movie.
not for people to think that there is really a Wakanda, please. But
Right. Hello.
but
Get a map, people. Get a
get your
map.
geography straight.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's a favorite childhood memory?
So when we were younger, airplane rides weren't really the thing. We did road trips. So our family road trips, they always made me thankful for family because everybody played a role and it unified the family. So my dad, he had to organize everything as far as planning whether we were going to take the northern route or the southern route, depending on the weather. He's getting all this down to a science. Mm-hmm. What I didn't realize was also when he was planning our trip, he was planning on our stops according to what was palatable and where Black people would go without being assaulted verbally or any other way. And I didn't know that until I got older. The Green Book style.
Oh, yeah. That
came
to mind.
Yeah. So, with my mom, my dad, and us kids, myself and my sisters, it was amazing. And it was always educational because wherever we went, we had to learn about the state that we were going through, traveling from California to Texas or California to Arkansas. So those things gave us a great experience and opened our eyes to other areas that we otherwise would have just read about.
You said that everybody had a role. Did you have a role as well?
I had a role as well. So my dad would plan the trip. My mom would generally plan the snacks and so forth. But my mother was an educator and a minister. So, she'd have the educational part, the little games that we play on the way periodically so that we weren't just back there wrestling or, me getting on my nerves for the most part because I was a boy. And so I would help to clean the car out when we'd go to our different stops if we had snacks and so forth. That was my role. My sisters, they had to make sure we had our little blankets and stuff all folded up and put back together when we got ready to continue after wherever we stopped. So it was making sure everybody had a little something to contribute so that we all felt a part of.
That's nice. That's really nice. Let's talk about accomplishments. I asked this question in two parts. First, an accomplishment that means the most to you personally. And then the second part, an accomplishment that tends to get the wow or the whoa from others. So let's start with the first. Which accomplishment means the most to you personally?
Well, I was supposed to go to school for psychology and sociology. That's what I wanted to get a degree in, and I wanted to get my doctorate in that area. However, being an artist, I told my mother, I said, most of the theories that we study are directly applicable to me. So I think I'm already deemed crazy. So maybe maybe I shouldn't have that type of responsibility in other people's lives. I told her I'm an artist and I have been doing this since I was 7 years old. My mother was PhD. She had, like 4 degrees. All of my sisters have their masters and graduated cum laude, magna cum laude, including my daughter. But my mother said, okay, so whatever you do, I want you to be equivalent PhD in your field and to continue your education. So What's the one thing I'm most proud of is in my field, I was honored with the Living Legend Award for hairstyling in the cosmetology field. So
Wow.
that is one that I'm really proud of, having come into the field, wanting to make a difference. The last one was I just got certified as an associate hair loss practitioner with the American Medical Certificate Association. So for me to be the age that I am and to have gotten certified by the American Medical Certification Association, I'm pretty proud of that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and as far as what wows other people, people usually tell me that they are impressed by the passion that I have for the various things that I do, which is play music, my poetry, hair, teaching. I have a passion for those things, and I put equal amount of energy into them whenever I'm doing them, any
Mm-hmm.
of them. But I think the fact that my mother would put me in so many things that I know how to communicate with so many different people. I'm not afraid to approach anybody, from a politician to a homeless person, uh, street gangs. It doesn't matter. It's just academic for me, but for other people, they go, it doesn't matter who it is. You just walk up to them, and next thing I know, you're patting each other on the back like you've been friends forever. I mean, this is old people, young people, doesn't matter what nationality or ethnicity. And I think that I have to attribute that to my mother putting me in all of these different situations where I learned a little bit about a lot.
Yeah. What I hear is an enduring curiosity.
Yes,
Um, and that is what fuels that. And you actually helped me understand, make some connections in my own life, because my partner of 12 years, he is someone that, I could have a friend that I've known for 20 years, and we'll go out together, and then afterwards he'll say, wow, she's blah 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 blah, and I'll go, what? And
exactly.
he's got the whole life. He's telling me things I didn't even know. He knows all the owners of the restaurant and the chef and the
Oh,
guy that takes it, right?
I love your
And
partner.
and the thing is I also realize he consumes information in books like nobody's business, all kinds. And you've just helped me appreciate how much curiosity plays.
I mean, I can so relate to your husband because whenever somebody's talking to me, same thing. If it's my partner, my lady, she's going, well, this is so and so. I go, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, did you know that? And I'm running down the pedigree going, how did you learn all that information? Or if
Exactly.
we're at a store out shopping, and then it's, oh, well, I'll see you later. And these people that I just met, they're like, hey, we'll be calling you next week because how does that happen? Who does that? Right?
Yes.
I teach young hairstylists how to get clientele. And they say, well, how do you get clientele? And this was way before like the internet and Instagram and so forth. As a matter of fact, it still works today. I said,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you go, that's where your clientele is. That's the beginning of your clientele. If you're at a funeral, if you're at the doctor's office, dentist office, and you're in a grocery store, you're walking down the street, I don't care where, if you're at a gas station, it doesn't matter. Because if you don't open your mouth, you never know what a person's needs are that you might be able to fulfill,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. When I go to talk to somebody, I go to talk to a friend. I don't go to get a client. So I never go looking for a client. I go to make a friend, because you're more apt to want to listen to what a friend has to offer than you are just to buy from a salesman.
Mm.
So
Preaching.
yeah, when I meet a friend, then Now we can talk and have a conversation. Now, if I have something to offer, then my new friend, will be more apt to listen to what I have to say, because I'm not selling you anything. I do not sell. I offer. I have something that's really good and I want to share it with you. If you can utilize it, then good. If not, it's okay. Maybe you can tell somebody.
Just what you've shared so far, I understand why you're in the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank
This is a big deal. What is it that you do, that you provide, that the average stylist is not?
Well, I think one of the reasons that I was awarded the Living Legend Award.
Mm-hmm.
First of
Oh,
all,
thank you for that.
no. First of all, I never expected to even hear legend and my name together. I never, and if it were mentioned, I never thought I'd hear it, because legend to me is not living. But to have achieved and received a Living Legend Award is so, so humbling. And the reason it's humbling is because, one, it shares the ability for longevity. And I think that longevity is everything in any field that you're in, because you adjust and adapt to whatever is going on, but you stick to your core values.
Hmm.
So that's, and then I'd like to be good. I'd like to be the best at what I'm doing. And I always want to be one of the best. And I want to be one of the ones that's known for taking care and in the forefront. I never like to be in the back of the class. I want to be in the front because I want to make a difference.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so that's where I am with that. Everything I do, I practice, 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 and I don't hesitate to take advantage of an opportunity to show my work. I've been thankful enough and blessed enough to have done very influential people like politicians and celebrities and musicians and so forth and so on, and had a couple of things in a couple of magazines, and so I've been very fortunate in that sense. So that, and along with me giving back to the group that's coming up behind me, I think that is probably how I got into even being considered a living legend in this field.
Well, one of the other things that I love that I hear is that you're not shy about being the best. And I don't mean that as in any way like arrogance or, you know, boastful, but I mean, you're good with being the best. And I think a
Yes.
lot of people, I'll speak for myself. I know in the past, I mean, I'm in my 50s now, but I know for a fact in my 20s and 30s, I didn't want to be in the limelight. Even if I did the best, it was kind of, sheepishly like, oh, well, yeah, it was that. Yeah, I did versus really owning, what I contribute. And I think that's something that is just almost at the level of a dis-ease in our culture, that we don't celebrate our gifts without shame or embarrassment. And
Right.
I know that's not all people, but I think there's far too many people who don't embrace their gifts. And what I hear you've done is you've just embraced this is what you're good at and what you love, and you're gonna do it out and turn it out.
Well, it's real funny that you should say that, because there was a time early on in my career that I really didn't even understand it. I remember people saying when I was younger, they said, "Curtis, you got it, man." And I'm going, "It? What is that? It? I really, if I can put my finger on that it, then I can go ahead and do something about it." And they say, "No, you've got it. You've got it." When I was in beauty college, they would say, "You are going to do some big things in this industry." And I'm going, "Okay, but what is that it that I have?" And I didn't understand it for a long time and I didn't know how to embrace it. And once I figured out, you know what? If I'm going to teach, and I've been teaching for a long time also, but if I'm going to teach, then I have to know that when I'm teaching somebody, the reward is being able to learn it and share it, but it's being able to know what to learn and what to share. So if I'm teaching them how to be their best and I'm cowarding down with my own best, what am I teaching them to aspire to? So I learned that what I'm teaching you to aspire to is work hard, be tenacious, and these are the rewards. And when you work hard, then you can say, I am proud of what I've done because I've given you my best. And my best happened to be good enough. Mm-hmm. And since my best happened to be good enough, I'm thankful for that. When you're proud of that, then you can continue and then step up to the next rung on your ladder, whatever that is. But if you're cowarding down, then you can't teach people how to stand in their truth, stand in their light. This is my gift. I can't take credit for it because it's something I've been doing since I was 7. So it's a gift and I appreciate it. Now that I know that I have the gift, then it's up to me to do something else with it and take it to the next level. So you learn how to utilize your personality with that gift, how to utilize your ingenuity with that gift, how to use your scientific mind and formulating colors and so forth with that gift. And at this point, how to help people and their hair loss with my latest accomplishment being the associate hair loss practitioner and, going to continue on to be a full-fledged trichologist, how to use that to help. Once you do that, then, there's no need for me to cower down because I work hard. I work at it.
Yeah. Let's talk about words. What's your favorite quote, saying, metaphor, or book?
I have 2 that stand out in my head. One is Nietzsche, and his quote was, never allow the monster you're chasing to become the monster within. What that means is if you know that you don't like people that segregate, if you know you don't like people that are mean, if you know that you don't like people that aren't fair, then regardless to how unfair or how mean or how much a person wants to segregate you, when you're in that position, do not become that monster that you're chasing away. If I want to be in a non-segregated situation, I'm pro African American. I'm not anti anything other than hatred and bigotry. I'm anti that, but I'm not anti a race. You know what I mean? I'm not anti a group of people. Another quote that stands out is by Maya Angelou. She's come to believe or come to understand that people might forget what you've said and people might forget what you've done, but people will never forget how you make them feel. See? So those 2 things, I never want to be the person that I'm trying to ward out of my life. And I always want to make sure when I leave you, you remember me because I brought light and I gave you something to massage your heart, your soul, or your mind.
I love that. It's even more so. There's something about, coming from a stylist, because if, any woman who's been at the stylist know that massage on the scalp. and so, right. And so as you say that and you say, and, massage the heart and massaging the soul, it's like, that's really, That's a very clear communication. It's poetic. And now I get it. You know, I can see the poet in you coming out in some of your answers. That's nice. I like that. I'm
Oh,
gonna have to
thank
use
you.
that. Um, well, I would love to know, what is a person, moment, conversation, or event that stands out as changing either the trajectory of your life or had a significant impact on your life?
Well, I've shared with you that I was the only boy, and I have three sisters. I had three sisters, me being the only boy, and I was the eldest, by the way. So I was very close to my mother. My mother, she epitomized courage, black strength, the will to. She epitomized all of that. My mother always told me, greater is he that is in thee than he that is in the world. My father was a hard working man. So my mother was formally educated, and my father, he wasn't, but he had common sense. He worked himself from a janitorial position for the city of Oakland to being in that position and over all of the city of Oakland. So he was over engineers and maintenance. But now you have to have a degree to do these things. But for him, just hard work and perseverance. But my mother's life showed me how to live with dignity. But when my mother took ill, or one day she questioned, she said, and she never questioned anything that happened. She just thought it was the Lord's will because she was also a minister. But we were riding and she said, Curtis, my legs and my arms just won't work like they used to. She had Parkinson's, by the way. Okay. And she said, why me? And before I could think about it, I said, why not you, Mom? Now, I didn't say that because I thought about it. That just blurted out of my mouth, and I felt ashamed for saying it because that to me was a very callous response. Why not you? That sounds very harsh from a person that loves his mother's everything. I was my mother's everything, and she was mine. I realized after I said it, because we were on a 2-hour ride, and I didn't even say anything after I blurted that out. I'm sitting there thinking, what got into me that would make me say something so callous? Then it was revealed to me. I was supposed to say, why not you? Because my mother showed her family, being the middle child of 6. She had an older set and a younger set. She showed everybody how if you wanted to go to school as a young person, when she did, getting out of school at 16 and going to nursing school, then she said, I want to do something else so that I could be with my children. She went back to school for education. Then she got her master's. Then she got her PhD. She went from that to being a curriculum developer and a mentor teacher and still ministering and so forth and so on. So, and she had such class and such style and such elegance, but she was real. We had 2 homeless shelters, 2 nursery schools, and 2 churches, not at the same time, obviously. But when I said that, what I didn't know I was saying was this: Mother, if you showed us how to live a fulfilling life, how to follow our dreams, how to live with class, how to enjoy with finesse, then why not you be the first one to show us how to end our life with dignity? She taught us how to live, and she taught us how to transition. That changed my life. Not for the better for the first part, because when she first passed away, I lost it. If you read my story, I Can't Take It Anymore, in Kim Cole's book, or our anthology of 45 authors, I Can't Take It Anymore is in that book. But I Can't Take It Anymore I can't take not being the change I want to see. I can't take not being the light in the times of darkness. I can't take not being an answer for a question that I'm sure I could be the answer for. I can't take not doing. And so I won't. And so that changed my life. And that period changed my life. I went through a little drug period, and, one day I was lying on my mom's grave and I said, Lord, please take me. I'm already here. I'm high. Take me. And after the ants tried to eat me up, then I said, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing now. So it pushed me in a totally different direction. What I realized is once you help people, then your wounds are healing and you're not so much focused on them. By the time you help somebody through theirs, then your wounds have healed.
So true. Man, you spit so much wisdom out. I want to say I really got a shiver, the good kind, when you acknowledged that your mom taught you how to transition in dignity.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know why I said it initially, but after I sat and we were riding for a while and I thought about it and I'm going, wow, this is why you said it. You weren't being callous.
What is a moment or event that either highlights or kind of signifies your experience as a Black man in the United States?
I am not the biggest guy. I'm like 5'10". I might be shrinking on the other side of that at this point. I might be 5'9". But I was a small guy in school, and I still played sports and stuff because when I was younger, my father taught me one part of it and my mother taught me another. And that is, it's not good enough for you to be good. You have to be better. It's not good enough for you to be ordinary. You have to be extraordinary. You are a Black man in America. Being good is not good enough. You are a Black man, young man in America. Being ordinary is not going to cut it. You have to be, if you want to succeed, extraordinary. So always having to be better than, always having to be better than is one thing that my father taught me. And as I mentioned, him being a janitor and then becoming like a superintendent over that whole department for the whole of city of Oakland, was evidence of that. But I realized I was small. I had to know how to dribble. I had to know how to shoot. I was small. I had to know how to fight. So I do. I had to take martial arts, that along with streets. My sisters still had to be protected, regardless to whether I was this 135-pound young man or 200 pounds. When they said, I'm getting my big brother, this is it. So I had to always be better. And they laughed. The guys would kind of laugh. I'm like, this is what you brought? I say, you know what? Always remember, you have more behind than I do. You're a much bigger target. So you might want to think about what you're doing before you mess with my sisters. See? So it taught me the thing that stands out, being in America and being a Black man in America, is how you're always taught you have to be better than.
Yeah.
And the than is understood to be better than ordinary, better than him, better than just what's acceptable in your field. You have to be better than. Otherwise, you'll get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. And it's also what's implied in that, at least in the larger culture, when that's said, is, if there's any excuse not to give you a fair shake, you can expect that. And so you don't want to give anyone any excuse.
Right.
Yeah. They
Exactly.
go hand in hand.
Exactly. My father used to say, never give a person a stick to hit you with.
I like that.
Yeah, never give a person a stick to hit you with. So if you're supposed to be there at a certain time, to be early is on time, to be on time is to be late. So never give a person a stick to hit you with,
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
have to be better than.
Well, that brings me to a question about interactions with law enforcement. Have you had any interactions with law enforcement? And if so, if you can share about it.
Sure. My father worked at at the police department, right?
Okay.
So ironically enough, I would go down to the police department frequently because my father was down there. So on Fridays, sometimes I'd go down there and, make a little extra money, emptying trash cans and so forth. Everybody at the police department knew me, all but rookies. But my interaction with the law, when I was 18 years old, I had a rookie policeman to ask myself and my girlfriend if we needed any assistance, because we were talking on the outside of a Round Table Pizza and Grand Avenue in Oakland, where a lot of the kids used to go. And she said no. And my response to him was, the reason we're outside is because we just wanted a little bit of privacy. It was kind of noisy in there. And I'm sure it's the same thing that you would want if you were talking to your lady. That didn't set well with him. So he got out of the car and he asked her again, and she said, no, I don't need any help. And again, I reiterated that we just wanted privacy. Just like now, we just want to be left alone. So he took his stick out and he she jumped in front of me, but he pushed both of us down on the ground, pulled his gun out, put it to the back of my head, told me
Wow.
to shut up, nigga. And I said, what are you doing? He said, let her up. I said, you pushed both of us down. I said, honey, get up. So she got up. And so I'm on the ground. He had me to roll over, put his knee in my back, put his gun to the back of my head, and then said that, he'd blow my head off. And he kept, shut up. So I was hollering at the top of my lungs. My father's name is Theophilus Owens. He works at the police department. Somebody please call down there and tell him what is going on. There wasn't cell at that time. He kept saying, shut up, nigga. And I said, no, I've got $5 and a fingernail file in my pocket. I just spent all the rest of my money on a pizza. So I don't have any drugs, any extra money, nothing. No guns, no weapons, nothing. So if I died today, call Theophilus Owens and tell him that his son is being out, and I'm going on and on. And he kept saying, shut up, nigga. I say, nope, if you kill me, all of these people know you killed me for $5 and a fingernail file. So after that, I went on and got arrested. And after he arrested me for disturbing the peace, he took 2 cars, and it was nighttime, dusk before, but now it's night. So he took 2 cars, 2 police cars. He put his hat on the opposite side on the passenger side, and it looked like somebody was riding with him. He took 1 car that was in front of him. When my girlfriend went to get in her car to follow us, he said, I'm taking it to the police station. 1 cop car went to the police station. She followed that one. The other one went up in the hills, and he started socking me in my stomach and telling me he's going to beat the S out of me. He said, I'll beat the shit out of you. He said, now what are you going to do? Now, between you and I wanted to cry because it was hurting like all hell, but I wouldn't give him that satisfaction. After which he drove me downtown. He socked me in the stomach too, so I wasn't beat up in my face, but he just kept
Okay.
stomach.
Yeah.
So when I went downtown, then everybody was saying, "What are you doing?" Because, like I said, my dad worked there. My dad was off work, so he wasn't there then. But everybody, the other policemen knew me, took me in, booked me. I don't have a record. To this day, I don't have a record. I'm there, and I wasn't even thinking about getting my head blown off. I guess I could have, since I felt the barrel pushing and nudging the back of my ear. I mean, right behind my ear. But I wasn't going to fold like that. It wasn't going to
Right.
happen. And then I had a sheriff to tear up my BMW and say, "Okay, now you can go," looking for drugs. And there weren't any drugs there. It was my black Beamer. I worked. I paid for it, you know. So I've had a couple of experiences and they weren't comfortable.
Yeah. Well, may I just say I'm one, I do this podcast because, people need to know just they're the ones that we've seen thanks to cell phones having cameras and Facebook and all of that. They're things that we've seen now, but it's been happening for so long.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was just kind of, it was known within our community, but not understood without. And so I just appreciate you sharing it. And the other thing is I'm grateful that, that you're still here, that it didn't go any other way. That was a bold, that it's a shame to say that was bold. Like that is what many people would do in that situation. And yet, as you relayed in your recounting of it, what it got you was a separate ride into the hills and a beating.
Exactly. Exactly. But the one thing that I wanted to make sure happened was, if I were to die that day, then at least people know the truth. I have this thing about people knowing the truth. So if I have to die standing for something, then I'd
Yeah.
rather do that than not die falling for anything.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. So I wanted everybody to know what I was up against and what this policeman was doing to me, and let them know there is no reason for me to be here. I don't even have a record.
Yeah.
Everybody at the police station knows me. And here it is, a rookie. And I grew up with the Black Panthers. They were 3 blocks from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a sense of Black pride, and I
Yeah.
just was not going to not tell the truth to make you look good. That's not going to happen. If I'm to die, I'm going to let everybody knows that this kind of man is the man that killed me, and he could do it to you too.
I think it is instructive that you grew up, in Oakland, you grew up in an environment that was familiar with the stand of the Black Panthers, which, a lot of people, many people hearing this show may know, but there are so many people who don't know that they were really there to prevent police brutality. Like that was one of the main things that had them
Exactly.
started.
Exactly. They did so much. They started Head Start. This white guy hit my dad's car one time and took off. And like I said, they were 3 blocks from my house. The
Mm-hmm.
man crashed into the car. He was a drunk driver. Crashed into the car, backed up, and took off. By the time he got 3 blocks down, after he sat there dazed for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he got 3 blocks down to their headquarters, their church, where they started, the Black Panthers had cornered him, so he couldn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he was 3 blocks. We didn't have cell phones, so I don't know how they stopped him. I know he ran into the car, stayed there for a moment because he had to gather himself, and then
Mm-hmm.
backed off and then tried to take off. By the time he got to the corner, the Black Panthers had blocked him off. So, that sense of not falling for anything, that's
Yeah.
just in me. I'm the only boy.
Yeah.
I have to protect. I cannot go out not protecting, be it your rights, your welfare, my rights. I cannot. I cannot.
Listening to you, stories of my father. He was the oldest son, and they moved out from Louisiana, from the South and Midwest, and
Mm-hmm.
there was racial tension, and there was the early version of gang stuff going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so he really took on the role of kind of being the one who had to stick up and stand up for his siblings.
Sure.
And as you're talking, I am more present to how in that day there was so much expected of the oldest brother to defend and protect.
That's right.
Now, it's not like that today. There's not that same sense. It's much more, you go to your parents, you go to your teachers, you go, this and that. But as I'm listening to you, like, I really can hear it. It reminds me of stories I've heard about my father when he was younger. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Hmm. Um, if the United States was a woman with whom you could speak, whether mother, lover, stranger, child, neighbor, what would you say to her?
Treat your children equally. I'd say embrace all of your children's differences. Understand it takes all types of flowers to make a bouquet.
Hmm.
The United States, we're in such a civil unrest, and we seem to not be able to find our way through it. Not even out of it, but just through it, where
Hmm.
everybody comes out surviving comfortably. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to thrive, somebody's going to just barely make it. But for it to be civil unrest and for us to always have the haves and the have nots is just, please, let's figure out a way for her to balance this scale. Her children are not treated equally. Her children are being mistreated. And we need to figure out a way for her not to just look at a certain group of her children and figure that they are the ones who deserve, as opposed to the other ones that may not have had the same opportunities to dress up their presentation, but everybody's deserving.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what I would share with her.
I hear, grow as a mother.
Right, right.
Because there are mothers who favor one child. I mean, we all know there's been plenty of fiction as well as
Oh,
that
God.
happens, right?
Oh, you know what? It
Talk to
happens
me.
on so many levels. It happens with the curly hair, not so curly, tightly coiled hair. It happens with the light skin, dark skin. It happens with the one that's in academia as opposed to the other one that may need a little bit more assistance in learning styles. It happens in who pleases as opposed to who takes care of their own needs.
Hmm.
And it shouldn't. And it
Right.
happens on a regular basis. My daughter told me something one day, and I felt so good about it. She wrote on her Facebook page, she said, who has four siblings and a father who doesn't play favorites, yet still feels like a queen. That would be me.
Nice.
Wow. And that's how I want them all. All my kids, I have five kids, and all my kids and nine grandkids, but all of them are, they are the only whatever it is they are to me.
I
So,
love.
when you say, who's your favorite? And, well, that one is the oldest and that one is the youngest. And, this is the middle child. I don't have middle children. I have Everybody has their own. You are the only one of this one. And all five of them have their position.
So you've shared so much already. I'm now going to ask, what is love to you?
Love to me is really kind of simple. Love to me is the will to do with no effort.
Oh.
The will to do with no effort. So if you love somebody, then you don't have a problem doing for that somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's no effort. When you love like your partner and you're going home, you're telling a friend, I need to go home and cook. There are a couple of ways you can say that. You can say,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I got to go home and cook for this man. Or you can say, girl, I got to go because I got to go home and cook for this man. See?
Yeah.
To me, love is, and it's really, really, really just that simple. It's the will to do with no effort.
Mm.
I'm going to do for you because I want to please you. I'm going to do for you because it makes me feel good. We spoke on massaging your head earlier. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know when I know your head feels good when I'm massaging it? When
How?
it feels good to my hands.
Whoa. Wow. I get that.
Yeah. When it feels good to my hands, then I know it feels good to you because
You
I'm
know
feeling
what?
good doing for you.
And the thing I know is that without saying the word, what you're really speaking to with that is communion, because your hands feel good when my head feels good because we are in communion.
Say it again, girl.
We are in communion.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, Curtis, what is something that you've learned through your profession, training, experiences, or adventures that you believe more Black men should know but don't, realizing that whatever you say benefits everybody?
How important it is to edify your woman. How important it is to feel more empathy. How important it is to be a role model. And when I say how important it is to edify your woman, just as you are making jokes about her not being something, you can make a joke, which is a sense of encouragement about her being something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to see, and there's a chuckle of truth in every little joke. So when my wife picked up a little bit of weight and she would say, well, I know I've gained weight, a little bit of weight now, so I'm not as attractive. And I said, well, that's not the case for me because I was blessed with these children. And if without me being blessed with these children, you wouldn't be blessed with that trophy that you have or the little bit of
Mm.
sharing what you have that enabled you to do that. So to me, that's a byproduct of your blessing.
Mm.
Uh, to learn how to empathize with a woman and and others. I mean, we have this thing where we don't want to show emotion, but I feel for you. I feel for you so much that when you're doing something, I don't have a problem helping you. When you're doing something, I want to make sure that you're comfortable doing it. So whatever I can do to help you, assist you in this quest, this journey, then I'm more than happy to do that. And to be a role model, like I said, my father would say, if you want to learn how to be a man, watch me.
Mm.
He didn't say do as I do and then or do as I say and not as I do. He
Mm.
told me, he said, if you want to learn how to be a man, watch me. And if I
Wow.
be a fraction of the man that he was, trust and believe, I'd be a hell of a man.
I love that your dad would say that. I
Yeah.
mean, I love that certainty about, I mean, it's like what I hear is he was committed to being an example, and he knew it, he lived it,
Yeah.
and that was all there was to it.
That's it. So, I feel the same way. If you want to learn how to do it, then just watch me because I'm going to do everything within my power to be that person that I'm trying to get you to be.
Man, that's a high standard to set for oneself. I mean, I just think about for myself, if I lived by, if you want to know how to be a podcaster, watch me. Then
Sure.
if that was my motto, there are things that I would do with much more diligence. There are things that I might do that there are things I would do differently if that was really my standard, as opposed to, I'm getting it done the best I can. If I'm getting it done, like if you want to be a podcaster, watch me. That's a whole new level right there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That may stand true for them being a podcaster. But if you want to be a young, black, positive woman,
Mm.
watch her.
I got that. Thank you so much, Curtis.
Yes. Just watch her because that's all I hear. And I know, I love your analytical skills whenever I say something or whenever I share something, then for you to say, okay, this is what I hear. And what makes me feel good is the fact that that is what you hear.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, these interviews are the perfect training ground for getting better and better at communion.
I think that you are an amazing person. Our conversations have been thought provoking, thought invoking, and thus far, whenever we've had a conversation, when I leave, then you've massaged my heart.
Wow.
Yeah. And you've kneaded my brain and you've massaged my heart.
That I receive it. Thank you.
Sure.
You kind of are, normally right now is when I say, what did you get out of participating in this interview? But I feel like you've already shared.
That's it. That's it. You've given me a chance to share a few things that have either helped me or tried to hinder me in my life. But whatever they were things to overcome. And you've allowed me to share that. So
Well,
that,
it's my privilege.
yeah, that being said, I'd like to thank you for that. I guess you know that family is everything for me. Like I said, my family in Dallas and Fort Worth, my family in the Bay Area, my family on the East Coast, in Africa, in the islands, I mean, family's everything. And family doesn't just mean blood lineage, because I just got me a new little sister. And
Hey, I got a new older brother. I'm in,
that's
I'm all
right.
in.
That's right. That's right.
I want to thank you for being a man of light. You've mentioned that word a few times about being a light. And I really do see that pure white shining light that includes all the colors. Like that is what white light is.
Oh,
And
thank you.
you are that. And so thank you for being that in the world
Thank,
and for being a stand for growth, just soul growth.
oh, thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Remember, you can follow us on Instagram at 365 Brothers. Also, follow us on Facebook at 365 Brothers, the podcast. Lastly, I just want to let you know, producing a podcast, it takes something, and I'm really grateful to have partnered with alidu.com. They make publishing easy. There's a link in the show notes for anyone who either has a podcast or is thinking about a podcast. You don't need to learn. All that sound balancing and compression, save all that. Use your time for what matters, interviewing and sharing the stories that your podcast brings. Thank you for listening to 365 Brothers. I certainly hope you enjoyed the episode. I encourage you to subscribe. Please leave a review. I want to know what you think. Also, if you know someone who would be a fantastic guest for 365 Brothers, please direct them to our website, 365brothers.com. You'll also find all the episodes there, 365brothers.com, and your support is welcome. And remember, to listen is to love.